Can I be real with you about Medieval Dynasty?
Yeah.
I didn't see the draw of that game. It's such a slow progression at the start. I couldn't get into it.
I've never tried it.
It's like I like the idea of it, but the like actual starting from nothing and building takes so long that I lose interest before anything actually happens in the game, you know?
Oh, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I want to be able to play something we can show off a bunch of stuff for within a few, like at least a few amount of episodes.
Dude, no, like I got several hours into playing Medieval Dynasty, and at the end of the day, like I had like a small farm built and like a couple of buildings, and that was it. Like I hadn't even like completed any of like the real quests past the tutorial after like 6 hours.
Oh,
You know?
jeez, yeah. Fuck that.
Now I'm speaking in hyperbole, of course. I'm sure it wasn't that long, but it felt
Sure.
like it everything moves so slow.
If it made it feel like it was an eternity, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're not having fun and can't even get through the tutorial, no, no thanks. I'm not even gonna try it then, because that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It sucked. Well, it's a fine game for people that are into that. And occasionally, you know, I'm into, you know, hanging out and just, you know, playing something real casual and simple and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there was, like, the loop wasn't satisfying to me. You know?
That's understandable. Oh, also, Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor are both on Game Pass.
I have played both of those extensively, and they're fucking great.
Yeah, I haven't played Survivor yet, so I'm not going to download it right now, but I'm making a mental note.
Dude, definitely. Like, they're great. I miss some of the customization aspects with the ship in the second one. Because I think they pulled that out. But the rest of it, no, solid. Like, gameplay, great. It feels good. The progression feels right. The exploration's cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the first one.
Yeah.
I originally played it with you at your house, and then I was like, well, I'm buying that.
Yeah, and like you're like, okay, no regrets.
Yep. That one of the best Star Wars games I've ever played in my life.
I'm actually getting cautiously optimistic about what is it, Outlaw? The new one?
Same.
The
Same.
Ubisoft? Just looks like it hits the right notes, and that's really all I want.
The issue is how they're doing pricing.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Not a fan of that, so that part gets me a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get a Walsh Wolf here today.
Yeah, I don't think we are either.
Should we just power on forward?
I think we should. I'm assuming you're already recording.
Yeah, I started like 3 minutes ago when I started bitching about Medieval Dynasty, because I figured that would be important to have on the record.
It's really funny because I was actually, if you weren't going to say that, I was going to say you did it at Medieval Dynasty because of the way you started talking. I could just tell.
I had a plan for the day, but then the elephant in the room happened, and we were going to have to talk about that instead.
At least a little bit.
At least a little bit. Now, we're on the internet. We're primarily on YouTube, so that does restrict what we should say and what we can say if people actually want to be able to watch the video.
Yeah, we'll have to skirt some lines here.
I know.
And be a little kosher.
Flagged for like violent content on the podcast previously, just talking about some things. So
would not doubt. Not doubt. Yeah.
So we're gonna be towing the line here a little bit.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Should we
But
just?
it's worth talking about, though.
Yeah,
So,
I gotta say, dude, I'm tired of living in unprecedented times.
well, while this isn't necessarily something that has never happened before, it's been a long time. There is precedent for this to
There
some degree.
is. There have been attempts before to, um, what's the YouTube kosher term? Unalive.
Yes.
Unalive a, you know, presidential candidate. Has there been an attempt on a candidate before, or has it just been sitting presidents?
Sitting informer
Mm-hmm.
and I believe candidate as well.
Yeah, because
I believe candidate as well.
we've had sitting, we've had former, and there's been attempts where they aren't currently seeking the office of the president, but they've been in other roles in government that there have been
Yes.
attempts. But I'm struggling to actually on the campaign trail. Was it?
I mean Reagan, but he was already president. He was running for re-election, I
Yeah,
believe,
so-
at the time.
Okay, so that's
But he was
the
sitting.
closest- Yeah,
So
he was incumbent at that point. So
yeah.
this is like a weird, event to have taken place in our time, I think.
Yes. The other thing is what's coming out about the person that has done it.
Yeah,
It does look like that they are registered as a Republican,
yeah,
and it does appear that they might or might not be involved with a extremist group, potentially like a militia type.
I did see something about them wearing a T-shirt from some gun YouTube channel where they are very pro firearm.
Yes.
Uh,
I these are speculations. I don't know yet. This is stuff that's been because as of this recording, this is very early on into this and is, I believe, within the 24-hour window.
Yeah, we're less than 24 hours. at this
Yeah,
point.
so a lot of stuff is going to come out that is likely not true.
Yeah,
a
I
lot
saw
of stuff.
something about some misinformation about a donation to Democrat super PAC from the named individual, which we're gonna say right now. I'm not saying this guy's name.
No, it's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it. I know there's been some conspiracies already that this was staged by his campaign. I'm not going to speak to that.
No,
I don't think it's correct right now for conspiracies to take the forefront.
no, and that's that's the sad thing about where we are as a society and a culture right now, where even my first instinct, it sadly was I wanted to believe it was staged or faked because that would be more comforting than probably the harsh truth, which is it's just a lone nut job
Yeah.
who,
Yeah.
that's what it more than likely is going to end up being is, somebody with a history of some problem that they didn't get help for and, went over the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, this is the lone wolf type, as it's usually said. I mean, let's be real about it. They are terrorists.
Yeah.
They tend to be white, and this was no different.
Yeah.
The most conspiracy kind of thing that I would go into to some degree is that because of the fact of how the person is registered and the potential of that militia they belong to potentially being true, there is a chance that they were trying to do something to their own candidate to spark a fight, a war, so to speak.
Like, that's kind of where we're at right now. Is everything is both plausible and probable, and there's not enough information out there right now. Right now, all we have is speculation and a couple of facts. Nothing definitive, nothing to point us in the direction of motive. The only thing that we can say for certain is there was a failing on the part of the Secret Service here.
Yes. Also, it was a Secret Service sniper
Yes.
that ended things. The shooter was unalived by the sniper.
Yeah, they were. From what I read, was the sniper was able to the Secret Service sniper took the shot early enough to prevent anything worse from happening. That was one of the speculated things I saw. First reports from people on the ground that were there claimed that they had spotted the individual on the rooftop and attempted to inform the police. And there was, from what they described, no action prior to the shots being fired.
I mean, it's definitely possible.
It's possible. There's going to be a super long investigation over this. This is something that is not going to go away. Unfortunately, this is something that is going to require a very deep dive. There is going to be conspiracies about this. There's going to be a lot that's going to, butterfly effect off of this.
Yeah, I'm worried. This kind of puts us at a scary point because regardless of him living or not, I think this is going to embolden people regardless.
Yeah.
I feel like this has kind of set the stage for more blood to be spilled.
Like, this is like me trying to insert myself into the shoes of Donald Trump for a moment, and I'm not the same person as him, obviously. I can't think like him. I can't understand his motivations. I can't understand his thought process. But if I was him, I would not trust an increased security presence. I would drop out, personally, because I'd be scared shitless. Because if it's true that, he's a registered Republican who was able to get within 400 feet of a rally and take a shot at me and unfortunately terminate someone else who was, a participant at the rally, an audience member, and them, I would feel too terrified to go back out there.
Yeah, unfortunately though, despite any conspiracy, I believe he's going to try and capitalize on this.
He tried to capitalize immediately.
Yeah, I'm saying I think his tone is going to become a lot harsher.
Yeah,
I think that he's going to embolden these same people more by trying to, instead of having them pointed at him, he's going to try and have them pointed at his enemies.
Yeah, this is a scary time to be right now. Like, I thought this election wasn't gonna get worse before October.
I've been kind of warning about this for a bit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this stuff all started long before him and Biden squared off in 2020.
Yeah.
This isn't... Trump's a symptom. Trump is not... He is his own thing, obviously, but Trump is a symptom of the system itself. The system has kind of created a person like this. who unfortunately will capitalize on the idea that people are going to want a strong leader. Some of these people have been aiming that way for a while. I'm not saying it's the majority, but the unfortunate side effect of this is that I think it'll be a lot easier for him if he were to win the election coming up to implement more fascist policies. And
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm like an alarmist or anything, but there is Project 2025. He denies having any sort of linkage to it, but that's obviously a joke because
we all saw the
it's
footage
like-
from 2017 of him at the Heritage Foundation,
yes,
praising them, thanking them for all their work, thanking them for putting together their, manifesto. Let's just call it that, what it really is.
yes,
Yeah. Let's not gloss over the fact that, 80% of the people that wrote it are former members of his staff.
Yes, I was just going to say that. There's no way he's not linked to this. I mean, two of these things straight out of Project 2025 were implemented in the Senate just over this weekend. It got glossed over because of the shooting.
Yeah.
And Democrats went right along with it. Going back to this idea that if you're a trans person in the American military, you're not going to be in the military anymore.
Yeah.
I've been saying for a while that both parties are fascist. It just, do you want veiled versus overt? Trump being the overt one, and Democrats tend to be the more veiled kind of style.
Yeah, it's the best example of it is you see the memes all the time about the rainbow capitalism of Democrats, where it's just more of the same, but with a, shiny gloss of performative, allyship, where
yes,
there is, there's words and then there's actions. And
exactly.
The words are almost there. It's the actions that fall short.
Always, because allyship always is conditional.
Yeah.
Better to be a comrade in the dirt and muck and in the trenches than to be an ally.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's scary. The way that this is starting to head, it doesn't seem like voting is a way to get out of this.
And it's sad that this happened just after both the UK elections and the elections in France. And those elections actually, being promising results.
I mean, I told you, I think you said the same thing, but January 6th was a test run.
Yeah. January 6th was, it was a lot of things. I'm trying not to generalize here. But this is what happens when you have, I think it was actually best said in Men in Black, the closing scenes, where he's an individual person can be smart, can be caring, can be intelligent, but a group of people together are dumb, scared, and, dangerous.
Dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. It's worrying. Now, things could simmer down. Trump could back out of this and say, you know what? I'm too scared. I don't see that being the case because of the type of man he is. I think, if anything, he is going to gloat the fact that he survived a gunshot.
Yeah.
And say that it was nothing. I don't know. I'm worried. Our state of politics is getting to the point where it's make or break. We've always kind of been on the edge where it's been bending for a long time, as democracies always do. But unfortunately, instead of bouncing back so far, we've been bending more.
God, how crazy would it be if after this he came out staunchly against Second Amendment rights?
He's said it before. That's not actually that weird. The bump stock ban happened under Trump.
Yeah.
He is quoted as saying, "Take the guns first, and then due process after."
Yeah.
Now, also, he had tried to allow guns and other weapons to be at his January 6th rally. He
Yeah.
didn't want metal detectors and such. Because at that point, he knew he was invincible.
Yeah. He's also been against gun-free zones too.
Yes, yeah. I because he's the type of person that feels one way but will say another. You never really know with him. He speaks out of both sides of his mouth.
Yeah.
He's a con man through and through. He always has been. So
It's been described as his policy stances have always been who was the last person he was talking to.
Yes.
Because he just moves back and forth between, whoever was the last person to tell him, no, this is what your stance is.
I mean, whoever goes after that orange crusted fucking brown ring the most is gonna be the one whose policy gets pushed forward.
Yeah.
We saw for a while that Fox News had his ears so hard that they would say something on TV that night, and the very next morning, he would be bringing it up as policy that he would want to try and enact. So we know that his ear is wide open.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm worried though. I wish that the killer, the shooter, was apprehended.
Yeah.
But you know what? The conspiracy theorist in me thinks that that man wouldn't even survive going to court. He would never make it to court. So
No.
I don't know, man.
Like, that's the thing. Because we're going to get, like, a lot of information is going to be circulating from every aspect. We're going to get bombarded with information at this point. It's going to be hard to know which way is up for the next several weeks.
Yeah.
Until something else insane happens. Because this is not the end of it. You know it's not. It's going to be some other crazy thing. And, like, I thought the unsealed documents from the 2016 lawsuit against Trump was going to be, like, the tipping point, the final tipping point. That more people would, be searching for Project 2025 because it's been trending for quite a bit of time. People have been talking about it, drumming up, the alarms, so to speak, about what is the plan for another, Trump administration.
I remember trying to start sending off alarm bells back in like 2022.
Yeah.
Or so, where it started popping up again. And it's like, some of these things have already been done to some degree through the courts. The Chevron decision recently. I mean, this Supreme Court has shown that precedent means nothing.
Yeah. Precedent means nothing. And goddamn, how the fuck did Clarence Thomas ride on a fucking yacht around Russia and get a personal helicopter tour of Putin's hometown?
Honestly,
still sit in the bench.
Because our system is working as intended.
Yeah. It's like this is what we're doing right now. Me and you, we're going through fucking therapy right now because
God,
dude, life has not been normal for a long time, and I don't know where my barometer is for normal anymore. My personal headcanon has been ever since they turned on CERN, the Large Hadron Collider. Like, we've just been spinning off to oblivion since then.
You know what? There could be some truth to that because of how crazy this timeline has been. But remember, we have history, and to some degree, history is repeating itself here. We've seen other fascist leaders survive unaliving attempts, and it has strengthened the core base that they already had, making them a lot more violent, and sort of brings more into their camp that were already on the fringes.
Yeah.
That's why it's so worrying, because we saw what happened in Germany.
Yeah.
We saw what happened in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Fascism has always kind of been around, but the way in which that we have seen it more so is along the lines of the Italian kind of model, Italian and German kind of model. That's a lot of what we base our recognition off of. But it's kind of been around for a long time because capitalism has been around for a long time. And unfortunately, capitalism and fascism go hand in hand because you need to be able to control things at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like,
So
the system as it is doesn't lend itself to, other opportunities, other
Right.
methodologies, other, processes. It's just, it's the orphan killing machine, It's like, no, we have to continue on this path. Otherwise, it all falls apart.
Yeah, Fallout, actually, for a lot of you gamers and such, have broached this actually same subject with one of their vaults. In one of the vaults, the group must sacrifice someone, like every year or something like that, or every so often. And I think this is in Vegas, if I remember correctly. It might be in 3. It's in one of the 2, I believe. And they end up voting the overseer as the person who gets sacrificed, and they go on and do their thing. But you find out while you're playing that if they had just not followed the rules and decided no sacrifices, they actually would have won.
Yeah.
But these people kept doing it. So
there's are you familiar with Dropout TV's show Game Changer?
Yes. Yeah.
So there is an episode, I believe it's titled Race to the Bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the show, it's a game show at the end of the day, where every episode there is a new conceit, there's a new premise. In this specific episode, the host Sam Reich, brilliant fucking guy, doing a phenomenal job over there at Dropout, and the host of the show, he is presenting the contestants with an opportunity for points, but in this particular episode, it's actual dollars, and it is them bidding against each other on who will go the lowest for whatever prompt that Sam is presenting them. So it's like, go onto your Instagram profile and like 7 of the most recent pictures of your ex, and whoever bids the lowest does it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole conceit of the episode. Now, the way that the contestants actually won was basically by joining together and unionizing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was the plan the whole time. He had a slide prepared for that. Congratulations, you've unionized. It's fantastic. They actually did a second version of that where, anticipating them attempting to, group barter, he brought in the scab.
Of course, as you do.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah. For those that don't
gosh.
know, Sam is also the son of, I believe, the Secretary of the Treasury from Clinton's administration, too. Which makes it that much funnier.
You're talking about Sam Reich?
Yeah.
Reich? Yeah, I follow his father. He does YouTube and stuff. He did a short with them, actually, recently. In the springtime, I think.
Yeah, something like
somewhere
that.
around there. Yeah.
And his dad actually just released a op-ed piece like a couple weeks ago that was pretty fantastic too. I highly recommend reading it.
Yes. Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
Same
Robert
here.
Reich.
Robert, thank you. I was trying to think.
Yeah.
I almost said Dan, and I was like, that's not fucking right.
Yeah, Secretary of Labor. I'm not
Sorry,
sure.
Robert.
Yeah.
I stand you in many ways. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a short king. 4'11".
No, okay.
Yeah, we
Nice.
stand the short king.
Yeah. I mean, while we're talking about like good journos, shout out to Mehdi Hassan. Love that dude.
Yeah.
He covers a lot of stuff. I think he was fired from MSNBC because of something he said on MSNBC that has to do in the mass unalivings of people in a Middle Eastern country by a Western colony.
I think
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you've hit all of the bullet points to dance around that properly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. If we're really going to go out there and give props to the people that really go out of their way to talk about things that nobody else is talking about, we have to really give it up to the king. My personal favorite from Behind the Bastards, Robert Evans. The dude has been on the ground at more unrest in the United States in the modern era than most people that are still alive.
Man.
The dude's been stabbed by a neo-Nazi, so like if anybody out there knows him, please let him know that we applaud his bravery and his
seriously
not giving a fuck about pissing off people.
Yeah, seriously. Like, especially like you got stabbed by a neo-Nazi and you decided to keep doing this. Like, heck yeah, brother, because I'm hoping you decked him.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, dude has no sympathy for neo-Nazis, as one should.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just all I can really say to you, audience. Tell us like your thoughts, obviously, on a lot of this, because I'd love to hear them. Because right now, this is like anything goes. A lot of information is going to be coming out over the next few weeks. It's going to be hard to stay attached to it because of the fact that there's going to be a lot of other things going on really fast to try and keep your attention. But stay vigilant, stay watching. These type of things are this is history book type stuff, all right? So you're going to be saying, I remember where I was when I found out.
Yeah. I was sitting on the toilet scrolling the internet.
Yeah, I was at home. I woke up from a nap, and it was the first thing I saw. Because I had to start work at 6 a.m. yesterday, and I got home and I was like, I zonked like right away, like within a half hour. And then I woke up to that, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
And then my other thought was, of course the guy fucking missed.
Yeah, like how?
How? How?
I'm kidding. I don't want to know how.
We'll find out how. I can tell you that much. We will end up finding out how at some point or another, but you and I will probably be decrepit old men. And it'll be men our age now when we're decrepit old men that will be theorizing and laying to rest some of these things. Kind of like with the JFK bullshit. So,
yeah. Fucking somehow Joe Rogan will still be talking about it.
Yep. And CoffeeZilla. Hopefully CoffeeZilla talks about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's just fucking move on to something else entirely. I want to forget about this for the time being until we actually know some concrete information.
Okay.
We could talk about some wrestling, sure, but there's actually something near and dear, and I kind of wish Walsh was here to hear this, because there is a show on TV right now that I don't see anybody talking about, and it's a fucking travesty that no one is talking about it. It's a failing of the network AMC for not gearing up the PR machine and spending the money on the marketing for this. But Interview with a Vampire is one of the best goddamn TV shows I've ever seen. It just wrapped its second season. It is an adaptation of the Anne Rice novels. And they've made changes from the source material to adapt it to TV and to adapt it for, let's say, a modern time frame. That is probably the best changes I've ever seen made from a source material that didn't, like, it actually improved on the story. It actually improved on the characters. That's not something you really see. It's mind-boggling. How familiar are you with, the works of Anne Rice, Derek?
Very familiar with Anne Rice. I have not read this one though, I admit. I have seen the movie though.
Tom Cruise
the adaptation.
and Brad Pitt and Kristen Dunst. Yes.
I was about to make a joke, but then it kind of fell off because we went past it. So
it's okay.
But I was like, if we're gonna be staying in short keens here, can we not stand Tom Cruise?
I know it's so hard. Like, the dude is fantastic as an actor, as carrying himself as a celebrity, but he's also a piece of shit Scientologist who's fucking crazy.
Yeah, not even just the Scientologist part, but like the allegations of him keeping Katie Holmes hostage while they're married, allegedly. Because I don't know, but then wasn't it fucking Adam Sandler that saved her ass?
Something like that. Something completely crazy.
Some crazy ass shit. Like like she was only supposed to be on set for like a week, and she ended up being there for like 3 months or some shit while she filed for divorce.
Yeah, it's insane.
Look it up. It's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, so this show is starring 2 fantastic actors and then a young lady who was recast in the 2nd season for, scheduling conflicts, unfortunately. But both actresses that portray her are fantastic. So the lead is playing Louis Dupont Loac. Is actually the guy that you are very familiar with in Game of Thrones. The guy who portrayed Grey Worm is Louis.
Oh.
And Grey Worm was, whatever kind of role. This is so, like, it actually shows what he can do as an actor. Jacob Anderson.
Yeah.
And then the actor that they got to play Lestat is this Australian actor who I was not familiar with by the name of Sam Reed.
I don't know that name.
Yeah. I have seen them invent a term to describe how good of an actor he is as playing Lestat. They are referring to him as a Sampire, which is defined as a vampire pretending to be human to portray a vampire on TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now,
I mean, if it turns out to be true, then you know what? Fair game.
Yeah.
Fair game.
So I'm going to through the changes that they made in this adaptation to give you kind of a picture of what we're talking about here. Now, you remember from the old movie that Louis was a plantation owner, slave owner, when he was turned.
Yeah.
They've moved the timeline up from there. It is now like 1910.
Okay.
Yeah, still in Louisiana. They didn't change that because New Orleans is kind of key to the whole series.
Yeah,
it's a love letter to New Orleans, essentially. Louis is now more of he's a pimp. He owns a brothel during, Jim Crow era laws. When he is turned, they spend more time on his family in the beginning, and kind of like what makes him human as an individual before he's turned by Lestat. And they spend quite a bit of time actually post his turning with him, dealing with his loss of humanity. They make it more concrete instead of it just being like kind of whiny, sad Brad Pitt with no connection.
Well, I was going to say, if they're going to lean into changing this, that was one of the things I was going to say. Let's have it so that they actually change how he feels about this, because let's be real. His character should not have had a full amount of humanity to begin with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, now they've made him far more sympathetic of a perspective and a character to be telling this story. One of the other major changes that they make is this interview is now the second iteration of the interview. Louis, sitting down for this interview, is talking to the same reporter in modern day when they already had an encounter in like the 70s.
Oh.
Yeah, like he attempted this interview previously back in like 1970, whatever.
Okay.
So the interviewer and Louis have a history together, which is very interesting.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Which also allows
Do they-
them to tell more of the stories that happened after the first book.
Who do they have playing the journalist? Is it what's his face? From the movie? Oh God, what's his name?
No, it's not Christian Slater. It's,
Yeah, Christian Slater. I was like, it's some '90s name,
Yeah, it's
like
no,
uber
it's-
oozing '90s kind of name. Christian Slater.
and of course I can't type in my keyboard right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But let me,
I shouldn't say half, but the bottom row does not work for him right now.
yeah. No, the interviewer Daniel is Eric Bogsian, I think is how you say his name. He was the one of the politicians in Succession. He was like the Democratic candidate. He's from Uncut Gems, Elementary.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. You've seen him in other things. He is giving a.
I also. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
I was gonna say his performance is fantastic. He is giving like Anthony Bourdain like 100%. Like that is how you feel, but he is playing like kind of like a very intelligent and well honed interviewer, journalist integrity that you don't see outside of like war zones.
Okay. I also wanted to say I actually do know Sam Reed, the actor. I've seen him before,
Yeah.
and I found where I saw him: Hatfields and McCoy's.
Oh yeah, there you go.
He's one of the sons. So if for American audiences, that would be the more likely scenario where you see him, especially if you love watching the History Channel, because I believe it was the History Channel that originally aired that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was that 2012? Yeah, it's 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's been a minute.
Some of you were probably children.
Still are maybe too.
And yeah.
Yeah. Those are probably the like most obvious changes, aside from one that I think is probably most critical to the story. The subtext of the vampire relationship is ratcheted up. They are now like overtly queer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it is very like they have turned it up to like no, they are overtly queer from the get-go. It's not like something that they cover later on. Right from the beginning, no, it's a very complicated and horrific and like heartbreaking story of love and affection and abuse and mental anguish and all of that.
I mean, let's be real. In many respects, being a vampire would, be pretty badass. There's so many negatives.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm sorry. Like I like a little bit of UV radiation kills me. Fuck that. UV radiation's everywhere, man.
That's the thing about this specific mythology when it comes to vampires, because when they're old enough, sun doesn't do anything to them anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. No.
I thought I would just need like a one of those frickin' illithid bugs in my head.
Shout out to Baldur's Gate. But yeah, like everything about this show is like 10 out of 10 in my opinion. The set dressing, the scripting, the acting, soundtrack, the visuals is next level. The only thing that sucks is the goddamn marketing, because nobody knows about this show, it seems like, except for a very loud corner of the internet of diehards who are demanding that they make more. It has been announced that they are going to make a season 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there is that. AMC has spent the money with the Anne Rice estate to basically option all of her writings. They have this. They have another series that is much less well regarded, based on the Mayfair witches.
Mm-hmm.
And there is another series that they are currently in production on or pre-production on about aspect of her universe called Talamasca, which is basically like human beings that investigate the supernatural. Like they don't get involved. They more are like archivists of that kind of thing. Like they're
They're
investigators.
watchers.
Yeah, exactly. Specifically that.
Okay.
That's another series that they're working on, like kind of like within the same universe.
I'll have to check both of those out.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, AMC does have some pretty baller frickin' shows. AMC, if you're listening, we would love a sponsorship. We would go into this into much more detail, but if we're going to be shouting out AMC shows,
Yeah.
we cannot walk past Dark Winds. Like,
Okay.
seriously. Dark Winds came out in 2022. There's 2 seasons right now. Zach McLarnon, he is the actor who plays the main character. This is like a psychological thriller. It's a cop type of show, but it's seen through the eyes of a police officer on a reservation.
Okay.
Laws work very differently when you're on a reservation, regardless of what the American laws actually are. This shines a light, I believe, in the 60s, early 70s, right around there. It's an amazing show. It's got an amazing cast. A lot of this cast you will not recognize normally, because normally Native American actors are kind of made to play like just like solo, like off one shot kind of thing, or they're made to play super stereotypical type of roles. This is amazing. It's like the cast is awesome. Highly recommend.
So like, what's the like top level on it? Like, what's like give the people kind of like what they're like, what's the like overarching, purpose of the story?
It follows a sheriff, the head sheriff of a reservation, and he is trying to solve multiple murders at once. Some of them in the present, but some of them are cold cases too. And they're all tied together in some way, shape, or form. I don't want to give too much away. But these are based on the series by Tony Hillerman. So if you haven't read the books, I haven't yet. I do recommend it. It is on my list. I already have it downloaded. Just got to listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great freaking show. It's a nice, like, good psychological thriller type of show. It does keep you guessing. I feel like sometimes I can guess what's going to happen in a show, and this one does not do that to me. So,
Okay. I like that. I like when it's not a direct like, oh, we're just gonna subvert your expectations just because. I like when there is a story where I don't know where it's going to go, but when it gets there, it makes sense. It doesn't.
yeah.
It feels earned.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance in this show. It you know how like some psychological thrillers kind of, when they do their toe dip into the gray, it's usually still just black and white. This has a lot of nuance. A lot. There's a lot of gray.
I like that. I like being able to watch something where even if it's not black and white, I can understand the gray. Like the gray isn't there just because the writers couldn't figure out how to get a particular scene done. Like it wasn't just there to explain someone's actions. It was there because it makes sense for the character.
Yes. I do believe season 1 is stronger than season 2. But season 2 is also awesome. It's just a continuation of the storyline, essentially, and deals with like some of the aftermath. Sorry, I had an itchy knee.
Got itchy knees.
Little itchy knee.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend Dark Winds. It's such a good show. It's one of those rare ones, one of those rare gems where when you first look at like the thumbnail on like AMC Plus or whatever, you're like, I don't know about that. But then you actually watch the trailer and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm watching that.
I appreciate that. Something that I just saw last night. We went to the movies and went to go see Longlegs.
Oh yeah, I want to see that. I do
Yeah.
want to see that.
I will say, great, atmospheric, really intriguing, enjoyable to watch. Had me engaged throughout. I felt like a little bit of wanting with the climax itself. I feel like it needed a little bit more, but I wasn't upset with it by any means. I think I just wanted more because I was enjoying the ride I was being taken on.
Yeah, I saw that Red Letter Media had they did a review essentially. I didn't watch it though.
Yeah.
I refused. But I mean, I was sold at Nicolas Cage, so
Yeah, and this is kind of like Nicolas Cage in the right kind of like zone for him, where he's being allowed to experiment, but the character that he is portraying allows him to be weird, essentially. He can kind of lean into those like weird tendencies that he can have. It makes sense. Like the characterization for his character. I'm trying not to give anything away here.
yeah, understandable.
It makes sense. He's an outsider. He's not what you would consider, someone who could pass through life in unnoticed.
Basically, the type of role that Nicolas Cage usually sinks his teeth into immediately.
Yeah. It's one of
Okay.
those ones where he can have fun with it.
That's just usually the best version of Nicolas Cage you get. So
Yeah. And this is like, creepy Nicolas Cage. This isn't like Renfield Nicolas Cage where he sunk his teeth into it and was, chewing the scenery. This is
yeah.
a bit more subdued, comparatively. There's no comedic effect here. This is creepy.
Okay.
You
I'm still okay with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the scores right now. IMDb, it's got a 7.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is at 100% right now,
Yeah.
and 81 on Metacritic. So, yeah.
Yeah, this ticks all the boxes for like your modern day kind of horror thriller. It even has what's her face in the lead role from It Follows in every horror movie since then.
Okay. I could deal with that. I do plan on seeing this movie. I was excited when I saw the trailer, so
Yeah, and this is one of those ones that you can recommend seeing in a theater, just because the sound design really lends itself to being in like a top of the line like speaker environment.
ooh, okay. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
I just have a little sound bar, so yeah, I would prefer that.
yeah. This is one of those ones where you want like the full like 360 sound around you.
Nice. Okay.
There's
Okay.
nice little subtleties. There's the visual language of the film is great. It's fun. It's immersive, atmospheric. All of it really like kind of nails it. And this is one that like this falls into like one of the areas of movie making that I enjoy, where it's almost Lynchian an aspect
Oh,
of it.
okay.
There's a little bit of surrealism in it, and I'm all for it.
I'm okay with that, actually. Yeah, if you hit those kind of notes, yeah, I'm good with that. The only other thing that I can really shout out that I've been watching is House of the Dragon Season 2.
I haven't watched any of it yet.
Have you seen Season 1?
Yeah, I got through season 1 almost out of spite. I wasn't
Okay.
enjoying it really. I mean, there's a handful of performances that I was like hanging on for, and you can obviously infer exactly who I mean in that aspect because those people are fantastic. But I wasn't
Yes.
really being pulled in by the story, you know.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling. I think I'm just exhausted on the world of Game of Thrones, where we're going fantasy, but not, and we're kind of dealing with like it's the women in fridges argument and the trope. Like, okay, we're gonna make this person go through this specific trauma of SA and abuse for the sake of character development, as in way to kind of like it's like a shortcut, and it's doesn't exactly infer in me any sort of sympathy anymore. It feels like the writers are just trying to like, oh, here we're doing this for expectation almost, where this is part of somebody's backstory and that's why they're like this, instead of making them a fully dimensional human being. They're just no, we're gonna give them abuse for the sake of it because it's got shock value.
Yes. Now, granted, that's kind of George R. R. Martin's writing style to begin with. It's a lot more shocking than the show is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read Game of Thrones or any of the other supplemental books, but it's hard to get through. It's hard to get through, honestly. Wow. I don't want to give anything away for anybody who might want to read it, the series, but oh my gosh, trigger warning.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, like I'm tired of these kind of storytelling techniques.
I think, honestly, the reason why I like House of the Dragon so much more than the original series is because it leans so much more into the political intrigue of it all. Yeah. Especially now in the second season, because there's a lot of build-up going on without giving anything away. I just think it's starting to lean more into its strengths.
Okay.
I feel like this is the type of storyline that has a hard time getting off the ground initially, but once it does, like a dragon that has lived for fucking millennia, it's hard to take down. Yeah. So, my worry, and I think it's a very valid worry though, is that I fear that if they decide to keep this thing going beyond whatever source material they decide to use, it will turn to shit really fast.
Yeah, that's a common thread through any sort of adapted media.
Yes, but there, I feel like the Game of Thrones universe is cursed with this.
It is, and it's been 4 years past the date where George R. R. Martin said we could arrest him for not releasing the latest book in the series. So
that's just the system working as intended, brother. Of course they're not going to arrest him. Call back.
Yeah.
Call back.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I think I'm just... I want a more variety of stories being told to me now. I want some stuff that's hopeful again. I want some stuff that has, tight character dramas of internal conflict. I want, something animated, fun, and an adventure. I want more variety. And I'm like, I think it was a combination of the original Game of Thrones series and the knockoffs mixed with coming off of like The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad and like all of this other like, prestige TV that was just telling stories about really kind of awful people.
Yes.
And I'm kind of, I want to get past that a little bit. Like there's still a place for that by all means, especially if it's very well done, obviously. But I want more than that.
You know what's sad? when you're shown that these characters are meant to not be like taken as like the hero types or like someone you look up to, like role model types, anything like that, and people still do.
Yeah.
Like the anti-heroes, like the Walter White types. People got the wrong fucking message from that.
Yeah.
That was not the message being put across.
No, it was not.
Homelander, another one, which is surprising that it took this long. Like, honestly, I think we said this last week or the week prior. Like, you should have known by season 2. They were like,
you should know by
slapping
season
you
1
with it.
Season
Well, yeah,
1.
but I'll give them season 1. Okay, I'll give them season 1, but there is no excuse past season 2 because of Stormfront and all that shit. There's just not. There's just not.
Like, okay, the best praise I can give The Boys is it is vastly superior to the comic book.
Yeah, but that's such a low fucking bar to begin
It's
with.
such a low fucking bar. Like, it's
You
one of
just
those
get good actors in there, and it's already going to be better, regardless of the writing.
Yeah. The Boys is a tough one right now because it's very hit or miss for me, where there is like there are parts that I enjoy and there's performances in it where they have scenes that are just out of the park, but there's also like we're just the deep troughs where okay, did we really need to have Huey assaulted 2 episodes in a row?
Can a deep trough hold a big octopus?
Yes. Yeah, it can hold a mega octopus.
So, would you say that the deep be troughing that octopus?
Not anymore. He was.
Well, yeah. Okay, true. But was troughing that octopus.
Yes, he was.
Oh, God. Oh, God. There's so much room in there.
There is. Look, he was able to survive being down in the Marianas Trench, Derek. He can go pretty deep.
He can go pretty deep.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, though, what wins? The brown pucker or a octopus pucker? Which one's stronger?
I don't want to know.
Which one has more grip strength?
Oh, we're going.
Because let me tell you what. If you were to set an octopus and myself both onto the giant drop, Six Flags, you can sponsor us if you'd like. If we are both holding diamonds, one in his pucker and one in my brown pucker, I think I'd be the first to actually cut the diamond in half. So, yeah.
We might have to call Guinness about that. They would want to know.
Guinness. Do you want to know who can split a diamond in half first, me or an octopus, while going down the giant drop? Make sure to sponsor us.
I don't see much forward for that kind of sponsorship. I don't know how many times we could repeat that, Derek. It might be a one-off.
I was gonna say, if we do that more than once, man, we're like jumping the shark or something. Like that's.
Did we jump?
That's
the
a
shark
one and done.
Like 10 episodes into this. What are you talking about?
I mean, at least we landed it like the Fonz did.
Yeah. Shout out to Henry Winkler though. He's he's a gem from all reports I've ever heard of him.
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah. Him and Steve Martin.
The Winkmeister. Oh yeah, Steve Martin. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. Shout out to for his show, the first season at least. Only Murders in the Building. That's pretty damn good.
I haven't watched that. I've seen bits and pieces. I think it's just one of those ones where I'll follow up on it eventually.
Yeah, his performance is one of the better ones for sure. But yeah, that's a fun show.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, a couple of solid recommendations from us for some shows that AMC could probably do some better fucking marketing for, and a movie that is going to travel by word of mouth now, it seems, because don't believe the hyperbole. It's not going to be the scariest movie you've ever seen.
Not expecting it to.
Yeah, never, anytime you see that for a movie, just ignore it. Just it's a good fun if you like horror movies, watch. That's what it is. I don't know if there's anything else in particular that I'm really excited for coming up in the near future other than Deadpool and Wolverine, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing that trailer for Captain America: Brave New World.
Okay, I got a little conspiracy theory here, brother.
Yeah, what's that?
I think that Harrison Ford is going to spike Anthony Mackie's like drink or something with some super soldier serum.
You think in the
Yeah.
movie is what you mean, not like during the press tour, right?
Well,
Well,
I mean, he did have his ear pierced,
he did.
and you know what? I mean, that might be the way for Tom Holland to get revenge now that he can't use that joke that Anthony Mackie's never had his own movie before. So, who better to do it through than Harrison Ford? That's so unfucking suspecting because he normally doesn't give a shit.
No. That's one of the things I do enjoy about that casting decision to pick Harrison Ford, because you know he doesn't give two shits about doing the marketing, doing the press tours, sitting down for any of that. Like, he's just a grumpy old man who can still act his ass off. Let's not get around that. Like, he can still show up and do the job. It's just everything outside of there. He's just like, look, just fucking let me smoke a J and get through this day, okay?
Yeah,
Leave me
let me talk about Callista Flockhart and my flying skills. Come on.
Yeah. God, how many planes have you crashed and survived?
Like 3, I think. I think it's more than 1. I know that.
Yeah, it is.
But it's less than 5, I believe. I could be wrong. But no, I think that he was hired for that spot to play Thunderbolt Ross for one scene and one scene alone, and they showed it in the trailer. Why he doesn't have a mustache? Because I believe that I do not doubt that was the scene they had people read for, and he sold it the best. Because they needed someone who could actually sell the transition from the actor that passed away to the
William
new one.
Hurt.
Thank you. Yes, William Hurt.
Yeah.
And he's the type of guy who just doesn't give a shit, so it sells.
Yeah. And you know what? We know he can be the president. We've seen it before.
We've seen him take on attackers on a plane, utilizing all of his skills as an Air Force pilot previously.
Yeah.
Yep.
To crash the worst CGI plane in cinema history.
Brother, I've seen Tommy Lee Jones chase Harrison Ford once, and Harrison Ford gave such a little shit about the movie that he jumped out of a fucking pipe down a fucking dam and survived.
Yeah.
He fucking survived it.
Well, Derek, he didn't kill his wife.
Well, that's because he knew the song It Wasn't Me.
Did you know that the sequel to The Fugitive was originally going to have Harrison's Ford character again being set up for a separate murder?
With a new wife?
Yeah, something like that. That was the original idea.
Like how they might end up doing a John Wick movie again like that?
Oh, come on. John Wick, he's the Baba Yaga. Like, if anybody can come back from the dead, it's John Wick.
I mean, you give him a puppy and you kill that puppy in front of him or near him or anywhere in the vicinity of a planet, and he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Unalive you, rather. Unalive you. Yeah.
With a pencil.
You want to see a magic trick? Wham!
Oh.
Ta-da! Magic.
Now, we can call it there, but before we do, there's really only like one wrestling story worth talking about this week.
I think I already know what you're going to say, too.
Yeah, Stephanie Vaquer.
Go right ahead.
Signing the WWE. Canceling her dates with CMLL and AAA immediately afterwards, and is already working with WWE. Apparently, she was at a debut, just last night in Mexico City?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
That's big news, because that's kind of crazy, man.
It's a little crazy when taken without all of the context.
Mm-hmm.
She was, attacked by her ex-boyfriend, and who is currently awaiting trial, I believe.
Yeah.
And the promotions in Mexico backed him, and have like thrown their full support behind him. So when she said, bye Felicia, thanks for everything, I'm getting out of here.
Fair.
I'm inclined to be like, I get it,
Oh yeah. No, I just meant like it's crazy. Like the overall story. Like when I read that today, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm happy for her to be joining WWE. They're on such a hot streak right now. I believe that this is only going to elevate her career and honestly keep her a lot safer, because if things keep going the way that they're going, immigration will no longer be a thing in this country anyways. So
yeah. And from what I understand, like, this is all she ever wanted. She wanted to sign with WWE since she started wrestling. I think she had like a tryout like 7 years ago. And it didn't go well, and it just, goes to show that, somebody with that kind of work ethic that really believes in themselves, they can still make it.
I mean, let's be real. She's an amazing wrestler. She's only getting better.
Yeah, heck of a show at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, seriously. She's only going to be an asset for the women's division. To be honest with you, man. Like, women's wrestling in WWE has gotten a lot better even since we started this podcast.
Yeah.
The storytelling is just phenomenal compared to just a few years ago. I think she'd be a great asset. I think she could fit in very well with some of these storylines going on right now. I would love to see her there, man. I would love to see it quicker.
Yeah, I believe the current reports is she's going to be starting with NXT, which is, it's
that makes sense. Yeah.
You got to get used to, working the WWE house style.
But you got HBK there, brother. Like, he's going to the umbrella style hug that HBK has for the women's division, how much he cares for it. Like, I see nothing but success, because like, let's be real. The best storylines for the women's division for a little while was coming out of NXT.
Yeah, with, fucking Shawn Michaels just knowing how to do it. I also respect on HBK for anytime somebody is leaving NXT and WWE in general, and instead of like writing them off with like an injury in like an indeterminate amount of time, no, he just has them fucking iced.
Yep. Just later.
Yep. They've been put in the trunk of a sedan, never to be seen again.
Adios. You want to go out on your back? Well, now it's literal.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we do have to bring up Mommy's back.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Mommy's back. Liv went running. And Dom, I don't think there's enough chicken nuggies to make you feel safe, brother.
No. Like,
I just don't see it happening.
Honestly, this is one of the more fun stories that they've been running with. That it's just like they keep adding to it, and it's not diminishing in any means. It's getting more expansive in the best way, where it's just like before it was absurd and silly, and now it's taken to another level where it's a telenovela,
Oh yeah. Honestly, I didn't think we were gonna see Mommy come back till earliest of SummerSlam. To actually see her like on TV. Her being back now kind of changes how I view how Judgment Day is gonna break up. But I feel like Liv's still gonna get her way, even if she loses the belt, because let's be real, she's gonna lose the belt to Mommy.
I mean, one can only hope. Because Rhea is still like next level over.
Yes. I feel like it would be wise to put the belt on her. And hell, even have Tiffy try and immediately take the belt when she wins it and just show how freaking dominant Mommy is now that she's returned.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Remember, because all our theory crafting on the breakup of Judgment Day was all predicated with the idea that Mommy wasn't around still. Neither of us brought that up as an option.
Yeah, and interesting little bit of like, foreshadowing was Damian Priest, I'm assuming, calling her on the phone ahead of time. And
yeah, are you talking about the scissor?
Yeah,
like stretch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
And not informing the rest of the Judgment Day as a surprise. I like that little bit. I love when they do little things like that and they get it right.
I do too, and which still leads me to believe that when the other ones find out about this, that he knew and said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Dom might confront him about that, and I have a feeling that Finn might very well take Dom's side. And
possible.
we might still see the split of Judgment Day, or at the very least, Priest kicked out of Judgment Day.
Yeah, it might be time to see how Damian Priest does on his own.
I think it would be better, personally.
I mean, yeah, it's like he's at that point in his career where this is kind of like, okay, we've given you all the tools. Let's see what you do with them. And I've got a Data walking on my broken keyboard.
Ooh.
Hi, buddy.
Hi, Bubbas.
Hi.
Little Bubba
Hi.
Pants. Not only that, but let's be real. Damian staying in Judgment Day overshadows the other boys too much, to the point where they would just end up staying on the mid card forever, never giving them an opportunity to move up. He needs to be out for them to shine more, especially JD. As much as I make fun of the man, I think he's a great wrestler. It's hard to look at him, but he's a great wrestler. Props to you, brother. Like, I actually, all jokes aside, I actually do like seeing him come out and showing off his skills, because he's a very skilled wrestler.
Yeah, no, he's fun to watch in the ring. Once you get past his giant fucking head.
Yes. Yes.
And it's fun having Carlito there too. Carlito,
yeah, I think
Go ahead. He adds a little bit. Like, he's not trying to overshadow anybody. He's not trying to steal anything from anybody. He's just that little bit of extra to the side that kind of just, okay, he's, a little bit of salt and pepper on top of the meal,
Yeah. I feel like he fits very well with Finn and Dom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the reason why they brought him in too, is because of Damian being on the way out. They still want another person in there and have this be like a team that just elevates your name.
Yeah.
Because like teams work right now in WWE. There's a ton of them. Mm-hmm. And it sells really hard. Like the Latino team, LPW, or LWO. Thank you. Yep. Yeah. Like it just sells, and it gets their names out there more. Carlito, I think, was lagging a little bit when he was with Ray.
Mm-hmm.
I think him being with Judgment Day will help him shine a little bit more and allow him to actually kind of show off some of his promo skills.
Yeah, the one thing I'm concerned about is if they take Damian Priest solo again, if they revert to his previous gimmick outside of the Judgment Day, where it was like, oh, he's the man who's made out of good and evil, Damian Priest type of thing. I don't want them to revert anywhere near that territory.
I hope they don't. I see them kind of taking a more neutral kind of direction with him, like anti-hero more so.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the end of the day, he told Seth, hey, screw the gentleman's agreement. You want to come after the belt? After Gunther, you got it, brother. Like, that says a lot about the guy, and I think a lot about how his character has adapted since taking the belt on, and how he views himself in Judgment Day.
Not only that was a great bit of telling us who he is as a character and a person. not just doing like the usual like heel shtick of like, nope, that was your shot. Sorry, you lost. Peace. He's like, no, I recognize that you got screwed over. That didn't feel legitimate. It didn't sit right with me personally, and we have unfinished business. Let's not mince words. Well, we want to run it back. Here's how we're gonna do it.
Oh yeah, no, and I think it worked perfectly to start turning him, maybe not necessarily full baby face, but more towards face, because it honestly feels like with each showing of him, not just in the ring, but with these like little promos and everything, he realizes the weight of the belt. Like it's not just a weight over your shoulder. There's a lot more weight behind it that's social,
Yeah.
A lot more respect needs to be earned on your own half for having this belt now. Before, it was earning respect to be able to have a chance to get the belt. Now, to be able to keep that belt, you need to earn respect every day. And I think he's starting to realize that. I think that conversation with Seth was awesome, not just as a character standpoint for him, but for all of us who maybe don't really want to see Seth and Punk go up against each other necessarily. And I think their promo spot also led into that idea more so, too.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I think Adam Pearce is teasing some stuff up for what will be tonight on Raw. Moving forward with the Punk and Drew feud that's rolling on right now. I'm a bit concerned right now with where they're at this current stage, because you can't maintain this level of heat without a blow-off match. It's like people can only stay invested so long without like any further developments. Like they can only fuck with each other so much before they have to get their hands on each other.
I feel like they want to do tit for tat a lot with us on this, personally. I feel like they think they can get away with a lot. And I think, unfortunately, for some of us who might want to see Punk move on to take a belt or something like that, maybe, they're both really good at keeping that tit for tat going, unfortunately for us.
They are very good at it. And they have been doing this, in my opinion, very well. Like, I am not disappointed whatsoever in it, and I want them to, continue this story forward. But at the same time, like, I don't want this to be the only piece of the puzzle that gets, all of the attention for so long that we don't want to see anything else. And they keep it going for too long and it runs out of gas. Like, I want them to have a match, put things to bed for a little bit, but keep this going as like a lifelong feud between the two of them, where it just remains on site for both of them, Where it's
always kind of at a simmering kind of point where it's never actually going cold.
Yeah.
It just kind of lulls for a bit. Yeah, I would prefer that too.
Yeah, like it'll boil over occasionally and then they'll bring it back down.
Bring it back up every time one of them goes for a belt or has to defend their belt.
Yeah.
Something like that. But there needs to be some sort of conclusion to this portion. Namely, Punk needs to be able to get his bracelet back.
Yeah.
At the very least. Because that's a cute puppy.
Larry is the best.
Larry's adorable and looks just like my Baldur's Gate 3 character, so...
He does. You should have named your Baldur's Gate.
I fucking should have named him Larry Grundle, dude.
Yeah, you should have.
And Punk, if you're ever watching this, brother, check out our Baldur's Gate 3 series, man, and look at my character. It's Slap Grundle, the fucking, at the moment, fighter.
Yeah, love letter to Larry.
To Larry, brother, yeah. Inadvertent love letter, but nonetheless, when found out, it stayed. It stayed.
I think we should wrap up here.
Okay.
Just because we've gone on for a little bit. We're gonna let the news kind of settle this week. I was gonna say like, okay, here's what we're gonna do next week, but apparently the real world has just decided Now, fuck you making any plans. So we're just gonna play it by ear. But until then, remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the engagement stuff. There's a link below for our merch store. I'm going to be doing some research into making more of our stuff charitable contributions. I'm going to see what worthy causes we can actually put those funds towards through the online store through Threadless. Because it is limited there. We're not able to do everything, but I want to find a way for us to do some good with it.
Yeah, definitely. Because we don't make any money off of it. So
yeah. So why the fuck
whatever
not?
little is made, why not put it towards that? Let's do a good cause. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But with just the way things have been the past 24 hours, go reach out to your loved ones. Tell them you love them. If you're close enough and lucky enough to be near them, give them a hug. See them in person. Tell them what they mean to you. Honestly, it's a scary world out there. We, need all each other in this darkness.
Yeah. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. And when you go far enough left, you get your guns back. So
it's true. Minorities
Remember
are
that.
a lot harder to oppress when they're armed.
Yep. Remember that.
Yeah. But until then, we'll see you next week. And good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.